Voters in each EU nation will choose a new Europe Parliament on 23 to 26 May. Though the UK is preparation for a voice, time at the identical period preparation to keep the 28-term bloc. In an ordinary strike of 43% lot Europeans do not worry to voice, but the Parliament has considerable powers and elections go about just 1 day in 5 years. Time laws are developed by the Europe Committee. It is the immediately elected Parliament in the justice of 28 governments that solve. MEPs include the force to endorse, correct, or deny almost all EU law. So which include they reached in the 5-year period. Maybe their largest famous judgment was repealing roaming extortion for human beings with their portable phones overseas. By the Wonder Love at Household rules, all EU countrymen traveling in some term countries can urge, lyrics and view the web on their portable phones for the identical cost as at household. The rules, coordinated in 2017, are object to equitable use framework, that halt human beings of receive a portable telephone agreement in one nation and later with it all year circle in else. Before the laws modified, EU countrymen were frequently landing in big billing following their holidays, in roaming extortion added to the price of telephone call, texts and web preview. The EU recent year coordinated a close total ban on the planet's largest wide utilized chemicals. The go to ban the use of neonicotinoids accompanied recommendations by research teaching that had length related their use to declines in bee populations. Several 5 millionth human beings had signed petitions inviting for restrictions on chemicals to be advanced. But time environmentalists welcomed the go. Several manufacturers and farmers reasoned how the scientific remained unconvincing and how the ban was not guaranteed to supply results. For several, the law symbolism a broad change in EU politics, in that the as necessary of the environmental are creature put up those of manufacture. While MEPs solved to endorse sweep copyright law rules, critics alerted it could changing the web. By the new act, technology firms will be accountable for content located out of copyright law permit, and must each do a top force to get the rights for it to be down there, or rapidly shoot it. The tool how sites such as YouTube could be detained accountable if users download copyright law protected plant. Supporters say the guideline helps to provide how artists, musicians and some creative professionals are quite uncompensated. But technology companies say it will kill customer-generated substance. Google says the act, that EU state include been taking into account 2 year to put in domestic act, will damage Europe's artistic and digital industries. Rules came in strength at the begin of the year prohibiting fishery crews through the EU of price dumping undesirable catches, named as waste, behind in the ocean. The law, adoptee as far behind as 2013, desired to end the experience of crews price dumping minnow, both of corpse and live, since they exceeded their EU quote, or trapped undesirable kind. Crews are now required to hold all catches of minnow controlled by quotas on executive board, to escape waste management. A campaigning led by UK cook Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall and backed by hundreds of thousands of human beings fueled the changing. A collaborative framework was adopted in 2016 for police force and judiciary officials to accessing airline company occupant information for air transportation to and of EU countries, to assist in bomber and severe criminality investigations. The Occupant Behalf Accounting Records, PNR, framework enables domestic authorities to get conduct of information gathered by airlines, consisting PIN, fee and luggage detailed information. At first offered in 2007, the PNR framework sparked confidentiality concerns and ultimately went via, among intensified safety fears following the Paris bomber attacks of November 2015. By the Act, no information is permitted demonstration a man's racing or ethnical descent, religious, policy view, trading association affiliation, public health or sex lifetime. It was duplicated the largest tremble up of information confidentiality in 20 years, while the EU entered the General Information Protect Regulatory, GDPR, recent May. Designed at help human beings defend and monitoring use of their private information on the Internet, it came following a line of top-profile breaches of confidentiality. The law that can virtually plunge those organizations who failure to honor our information confidentiality rights, told information protect expert Anya Proops QC. The Information Confidentiality Act, the EU gun two main laws designed at curb contamination comprising plasticity mined and solitary use plasticity. In 2015, EU countries were required to bring sharply the use of plasticity mined solvent rather than the largest usually utilized in the EU. They had each to, later, the year, MEPS elect to ban a ban of solitary use plastic of 2021. By the prohibition, that yet has to precise several remedial hurdles, several of the largest overall sea-polluting plastic will no much longer be permitted. The includes plasticity cutlery and sheet, clap buds, straws, and air balloon sticks. Environmentalists welcomed the activity, that comes among increasing concerns above sea contamination and accountable of whales moribund in plasticity in their stomachs. MEPS in 2016 elect in supporting of the historical Paris Treaty, the at first ever juridically mandatory World Environment Transactions, upcoming in strength in the EU. The World Transactions includes telephone call for countries to range hothouse gas emissions. Parliament the year adopted plans to bring sharply hothouse gas emissions of cars and vans by 2030. By the rules, emissions of new cars will include to be 37.5% reduce and emissions of new vans 31% reduce. The EU says it is aimed to be the at first main economics to go environment inert by 2050.